Greetings. It is August 12th, 2016. I have visitors here. Joy from Sydney, Australia, and her son Jett. We'll skip the last names. They are seeing, they are the second and third visitors to see the nearly completed Under the Wings mosaic drawing combo, artwork number 64, portraying Sandro Delmastro, who is a chemist, an anti-fascist fighter, partisan in Italy, who was written about in Primo Levi's book in the chapter called Iron. I'm showing the book here just to give you a visual. There are several different versions of this, or I guess different editions published different years by different publishers. I'm sure you could find it like at the Sydney Public Library or bookstores or whatever. It's a wonderful read, actually. And in the chapter Iron, as I mentioned, Primo Levi recounted his friendship first with meeting Sandro, who came from a very different background than Primo's. He was from a rural area. And Primo describes his young friend, they were around 1920, as he had a really great way of being with animals. I don't know if he grew up on a farm or nearby farms, whatever. He said when he would talk about sheep, horses, cows, he would take on this mnemonic-like look as if he was like actually the animals themselves, which is why we have not only we have the metaphor of the wing, which is used in a number of the Under the Wing series, but we've got these sheep were from a sketch I did in Scotland a year before in 2015, and that will work really nicely here, as well as the cliffs were drawn at the same time on a hike I did along the northeast Scottish coast with an English friend of mine who lives in Scotland. The seagulls too, but when I was in lieu of the hand that we see in the photo here of Sandro Delmastro on this like rocky precipice, I drew the horse head, making me think of. Have you ever heard of magic realism?
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
I know in Latin American writers.
I love magic realism.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I thought, well, this is kind of a visual counterpart for me of magic realism and writing, but in art. The cow here I drew from an old postcard, which is up not a few feet away from like the 1930s. A Scottish friend of mine gave me years ago. What else do I have in here? This device here from my mother's drafting set from World War II years. She was a college graduate, and then she worked for Todd Shipyards in New York, which is involved in, I guess, stuff for the Defense Department in World War II and all that. And I had this old drafting set of hers. It was the only thing I had in my apartment that I thought I could make at least a nominal thematic relationship to chemistry students in 1939, 40, 41, and that era. You have a question?
Oh, no, just that as soon as you mentioned that it was the animals, they all started jumping out.
Oh, really?
Like, it was really interesting. Before, I was trying to follow and figure out where each piece connected. And then you mentioned the animals, and suddenly there's the rooster jumped out, and the birds, and the horse. And
oh, great. Oh, I'm so glad that you actually introduced. Otherwise, I start yakking too much, and it's like, who wants to listen to myself anymore? So you noticed the rooster. You saw this bird here, and you see any others?
And there's another one below it.
There. And what do you think of this here?
This part?
Yeah, what do you think that is?
Sort of crocodile, or is it alligator?
Those will work. Yeah. What do you think, Joy? I'm actually... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. There's teeth and a mouth.
Yeah. It's what?
There's teeth and a mouth.
Teeth and a mouth. It actually relates to I do I have in tandem with like PowerPoint classes or exhibits of my work, like in schools and stuff. I have a workshop I facilitate. It's kind of like art therapy, whether it's like 10-year-olds or 50-year-olds or whomever. And if I were taking my own workshop, I've been known to tell audiences that I can't stand the Holocaust, genocide, hate crimes, this and that, and it makes me want to scream like, "Arg!" Like, you know. So I call it like, come over. I'm going to walk over here,
Okay.
and this is a drawing I did a few years ago, a portrait of Primo Levi. So that was Sandro Delmastro's friend, and it's called Primo Levi with Arg fish, ARRRRGH exclamation. Unfortunately, I should actually do another one because the Arg fish here,
Its mouth isn't as wide open.
well, it's also really small. It's the kind of a yellowish fish with the green background in the upper
Yes,
left there.
yes.
It's, if I really wanted to do a really good Primo Levi with Arg fish, the Arg fish would be like the same size as Primo Levi's head. You know? So anyway, so I tell, sometimes it's like students, pupils in schools, what do? I say, I want you to respond emotionally. I say, you know, it makes me want to like scream, "Arg!" You know? I want you to draw that, you know?
Right, yes,
Whatever comes out.
yes.
So anyway, that's the fish
Yes,
that's
that
down there
makes
is kind of like the
sense, that makes
same
sense.
type
Yes.
of thing.
Yes.
So before I seal this in under the plexiglass, which is that I just brought back, I'm thinking of darkening a few areas that are light. I think some more dark might. I don't know. Unless you two.
And this a church
Actually,
or a-
that I drew. I have like a couple of like really ancient like encyclopedias, like from like 1910, 1912, and one of them has like these either old photographs and or old drawings of famous buildings, and those that was from, I forget where it was. It might have been in Rome, some old building. So just kind of tying it in. The see this this like.
shell and
Yeah, with this is like a famous image about ancient Rome in the
Romulus and
right,
Remus,
yeah.
yeah.
And a girlfriend of mine back in the 1980s gave this. She had gone to Rome and brought this back, gave it to me as a gift, and it was like sitting around here along with so much other junk. And sometimes, if I can figure out a way to get these things into the mosaic drawing combo, it's great. One less thing. My nephews end up having inherit in 10, 20, or 30 years, and it also fit thematically. Rome,
Yes.
Italy, Mussolini,
Yes.
and all
yes.
that.
Yes.
So this was a sketch I did at Green Lake Park, a park I mentioned that's kind of north, not far from Fremont, that has the 3-mile walk with the lake in the middle.
Oh,
People
yeah.
swim. I don't, just people sitting there. And I thought, because the Primo and Sandro were both so much into the outdoors, I thought, well, that will work there.
So,
As well.
so the drawing is also a mosaic?
No, well, it's a mosaic of forms, but it's drawing on paper. So it's like
So
colored
these-
pencil, India ink, gouache, which is like a form of watercolor.
I was just wondering, are these, like, this looks like a separate piece of paper that's actually been drawn and pasted on top, yeah?
Actually, it is. Yeah, I drew that portrait separately. I
And
used like acid-free, like conservator type paste to paste it on there, and I did ink to make it look as if it was stitched, but it's not actually stitched. That's actually also from one of these like 100-year-old plus encyclopedias. Vittorio Emanuele III, former king of Italy, makes a, what does it say here? Makes a surprise visit. Buongiorno. Actually, now I have to look that up. I might be getting my history mixed up. I have to, when exactly he was. If he was in the 1920s or 30s, then it wouldn't have been from that one of those encyclopedias.
and
Anyway,
the significance of the rooster.
he mentions in the chapter Iron, which is about his camaraderie and friendship with
Yeah.
Sandro. I think he mentions in particular chicken, sheep, horses
Ah, I see.
as
And then they appear
that he
throughout
would-
the artwork. That's cool.
so yeah. So I always do the head first in a portrait. If the head doesn't work out right, then I have to scratch and start over. So the head here, and my idea was to have the backpack, his hand, his legs. So you see, I ended up not drawing the shoes at all. We've got like kind of, these are mountain peaks from a hike I took, I don't know, 2009, the Cascade Mountains east of here, about a half hour summer hike. So between
which fits with the hiking boots.
what's that?
Which fits with the hiking boots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, where is it? This also, Cascades Hike 2009, must have been probably the same hike, this flower here. And when I had these kind of simple ink sketches from the Scottish hike, well, it'll kind of just thematically fit in terms of outdoor stuff. All of this here was from a hike, actually more like a walk, also in the Cascades, but not a seriously uphill one, also some years ago. And it was just lying around like, well, I've got drawers full of sketches and stuff, and just kind of like the rocky type forms kind of fit to me in terms of what they were into.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it basically all evolved. So here I am, I'm talking again too much.
Everything you have to say is very interesting.
Oh, thanks.
It's interesting, like each time you point something out, different parts appear, because now that you've mentioned the association with the photograph,
Yeah.
I can see where he's sitting and where the legs come down,
Right.
and how individual parts come together to create the person and the rock. When initially when you mentioned the animals, the individual parts jumped out, and now it's come back together to form the overall artwork. It's really
Very
cool.
good. You should skip engineering. You have a future as an art historian and writer. That's very good. Do you think it works, the drawing with the mosaic all around it?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Jett? Here's a question that might necessarily ask very often. Anything you don't like about it, anything that doesn't work, that's always useful for me. It's hard to get critical feedback from audiences. Like at exhibits, for example, no one will ever tell me directly that they can't stand something. It's very curious.
I think without having understanding or vision of the original inspiration, it's difficult to tell what's there.
My label copy signage usually is like a paragraph of and people, unusually so at exhibits of my work over the years, I've seen people walk around and read every one. Now if you walk into the average like American Art Museum or gallery, whatever, they call them galleries in Britain, people don't bother. Well, they wouldn't spend like 3 minutes reading something, but they do. I might keep that in mind as a reference of when this is exhibited. It might be worthwhile to have the actual photo along with my text to give people a
visual
reference. Yeah, yeah.
And it's not a criticism, but I agree with you that a bit more dark.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That will. So I think we'll hold together better from a distance. For example, like if this was darker, maybe some areas down here. I'm not certain about that one so much, but a little something I learned like as a freshman in art studies in college. They always say that darker adds weight on the bottom of a two-dimensional artwork, and you can have like lighter areas towards the top. But if you do reverse that, it becomes it adds an odd perspective if you have like heavier dark areas on top and lighter on the bottom. I just think. Oh, I'll shut up. This is going to be a very long video. We're at 13:45.
I love the sky and rock
Oh, thanks.
that's created by the mosaic around
Here I go again. The rocks. I have some tiles in there, but I actually used a whole lot of rocks. And it came out really differently than any of the mosaic sections. But it's okay. It kind of has this dark, kind of almost muddy color look to it, which in terms of I think it works in terms of how it is in the photo. So I'm glad that there's a big contrast. As you see, I didn't depict the landscape several thousand feet below where they were seated or standing. But so this is meant to be sky all the way around.
Yes, yeah.
And when I was working on it, I was thinking I might title it something like Stormy, Storm Clouds, Storm Skies over Piedmont, Piedmontessa. That's the region of northwest Italy where Turin is and where they were both from, and where where Sandro was shot to death.
There's quite a lot of movement in the sky.
Yeah.
And I like that with the contrast with the contemplative serenity of his face.
Very good, thanks. You have a new side career in art history and art commentary and art scholarship and writing as well as your son. Very good. Jett, any last closing thoughts here?
I just want to take a few photographs myself now to keep. So.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And likewise. Thank
Sure,
you very
thanks.
much for sharing your artwork
Thanks.
with us.
I'll say hello and adieu here. Okay. Ciao.